Next on Voice of the Veteran, we have some very special guests today. Kyle and Jerry Orleman are experts in the area of service animals. Jerry was an Army intelligence, ASA, Army security agency. And Kyle, you are officially Jerry's caregiver. Is that correct?
That's correct. Officially and unofficially.
Very good. Oh, this is going to be a good interview. All right.
Gail, you have any questions for Kyle and Jerry?
I do. Let me start off with, well, I have like 5 questions here. Now, when I ask these questions, it's certainly for both or either one of you to answer, or both of you to answer, or whatever it is, whoever wants to speak, you just jump on in and do it. No problem. But the first thing I want to say is what are the dogs' names?
Well, my dog is named Callan, like an eagle claw, and Kyle's name is, or Kyle's dog's name rather, is.
Excuse me?
Kyle's name is Kyle.
Did you just call your wife a bitch? Did you do that?
Well,
Right
I have a service dog and a service bitch.
Sorry, Kyle. Sorry about that.
You're going to pay for that one, dude.
Well, they look fabulous, but it must be a lot of work taking care of service animals, yeah?
Not for me.
No.
Yeah, that's part of my job assignment. So
That's right. Well, they always look fabulous, that's for sure. Kyle, how long have you owned and cared for service animals, Kyle?
well, actually, we got Jerry's first service dog back in 2008 or early 2009.
Oh.
And so we've been dealing with it for quite a while. And I should also say that our service dogs are both rough collies as a breed. And we're very familiar with that breed, which is why we were able to get the dogs that we were able to get.
Oh.
So we already were very familiar with rough collies because we had pet rough collies for many, many years beforehand. So we came into this in a little bit different way in that we already had familiarity with that particular breed and how to work with them. And when you go back to the question you asked a moment ago, Gail, about the grooming and everything, yeah, there is a fair amount of work to do with that. And that's one of the things that veterans who have service dogs are going to need, or are going to get service dogs, need to take into consideration. Because, yeah, the dogs need to be walked. They do their thing, shall you say, and they have to be cleaned up after. If you're going to have a service dog that's out in public.
Wait a minute. When they do their thing, you mean when they poop?
Yeah.
I was going with
They
you.
do. Yeah, they
Look
poop
at
a lot.
them. Oh, they're so beautiful. I can see them on the screen right now. Look at those two. I mean, is that their room or yours?
Everything is their room.
Yeah, I thought maybe
the whole
that
house is their house.
If we've been really good and well behaved, they let us sleep on their bed once in a while.
Oh, well, that's very good. Now,
Yeah.
I have so many questions to ask you guys. I mean, what happens when like a little kid comes up and wants to pet the dogs? And I mean, should children actually be engaging with a service animal? Tell me about whatever about that.
But when they come up and do that, I smack them in the stick hitting. Anytime, and this is true for more than service dogs. This is for any dog. A person should not come up and on their own try and interact with the dog. They need to ask first. They have no idea what the dog is going to be like, how it's going to be responding. In our particular case, because of service dogs, when they come up, if they don't ask, we ask them to stop and get away, and that is a service dog. And frequently, it turns into a little bit of a lesson plan about service dog, what they do and things like that. So we try and turn it into an educational experience.
I've heard Kyle say many times to children, "Oh, I'm sorry, the dog is working." Let me tell you what that means. And she's always very eloquent about allowing the children to understand and admire the animal without saying, "Get your friggin' hands away from the damn dog."
Well, that's what I used to do.
Now, Jerry, tell me something about this. Now, how did you choose that breed of dog? I think Kyle kind of touched on that a moment ago.
Well, Kyle's the one who actually chose the breed, and it's because we've been so familiar with the breed. We interact with a couple of collie groups. We've had collies for a number of years, and Kyle also does a lot of research. And well, she did a whole lot of research about service dogs before we even started in on the training with my first service dog.
Well, and Kyle, how old do they have to be to start training?
Well, that depends, because training is an interesting thing. Most people think of it as a specific period of time where you actually train and then you stop training, and that's not the case. Going back to what Jerry was just saying, before we got his first service dog, I did 2 years of research, finding out what service dogs could and could not do. And again, this was more than 10 years ago, so they weren't as well publicized at that point, and people didn't know what they could do and what they couldn't do then. So did 2 years of research, and then we found a service dog trainer that was within range for us to be able to reach. And because we knew that the dog was going to do mobility work, we needed to find a trainer who could train for that purpose. So
now I want to ask some questions in between, because you're going right through all my questions.
Sorry about that.
No, I just want to break it up so it's a little easier in the post show for people to catch up with the different subjects and stuff. So
Right.
To continue with the training aspect of it. So who actually, what is there, like a company that trains these animals that's or are there a whole bunch of companies? And who actually, I mean, it's a job that people have, that they work at a dog facility of some kind and they train service animals. Is that how it works? Or just explain it to me.
There's a number of different pathways, because first of all, not every dog can become a service dog, and not every dog, even within a litter, can become a service dog. So you have to match.
Really?
You have to match the personality of that specific animal. And there are people who do evaluations in terms of the puppies as to which ones might or might not be worthy of going on for formal training. There are also a number of puppy trainers that are actually within prisons that work with the puppies and get them properly socialized in the beginning parts of training. And then later on, there are other organizations that do formal training. And that's a real important thing when you're going to be working with a service dog with the VA. So there's a lot of people who think, okay, well, I can go ahead and train Rover. I know how to train sit and stand and those kinds of things. But there's a lot more involved with it than that.
Oh.
So there's an organization called Assistance Dogs International, and they have certified trainers. It's
and
not
we put that link up for
Right.
the people, and it'll be in the post show for those two links that you're going to be referencing right now. So are these animals allowed to go in any building?
Again, that's not a black and white answer, because under the Americans with Disabilities Act, anywhere that the public can go, the service dog can go, because, and this is going to sound weird, but it's the truth, these service animals are treated like prosthetic devices. So anywhere that you could take your wheelchair, or anywhere that you could take your oxygen tank, or anywhere you could take your prosthetic leg, the dog is allowed to go, with very few exceptions. If you're having surgery, they're not going to be in the surgical suite with you. That work. So
yeah, I see. I take your point. Yeah.
yeah, and there's also separate rules for air carriers, and there's been a change to that recently, and you'll have that link as well. So part of the training is done by these organizations. Part of the training is done with the handler, because it's as important to train the handler, if not more important.
I was going to say, who trains the veterans to take care of the dog? I mean,
Exactly.
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Well,
and also, I want you to talk about who is the contact at the VA for a service animal. I don't mean the name of a person. I mean the title of a person.
you want to go to the prosthetics department, because oddly enough, the dogs are handled through prosthetics. And when we first learned that, we thought that's totally crazy, but that's actually totally
like where I go to get my socks and arch supports and the same place.
Exactly.
So I could go into prosthetics and say, hey, give me a dog.
Well,
they're not going to issue you a dog. But yes, they will put you in touch with the organizations that can.
Well, I don't know, Jerry. Do you agree with that?
Well, it's you need a referral before you can go down and start requesting.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I would have just gone in there and said, give me a dog. You know, I'm glad you corrected.
Generally, the referral might come from your primary care, but it may come from somebody else that you're seeing from one of the other departments, possibly from physical therapy. But generally, you do need a referral before you can go and ask for any kind of prosthetic device. And the dogs are devices. In the eyes of the VA.
Well, yeah, the eyes of the VA, they've always got a certain way of looking at things, and we all know that. So I appreciate that comment. Hey, you know what? I'm going to let, I think I already asked one of Nicholas's questions about who trains the veteran to care for the animal. But I'm gonna just let him continue on, and then we're gonna have a insurance question here at the end. So just I'm gonna go ahead and take a break, and y'all talk among yourselves.
That was really good. Thank you, Gail. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Kyle.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good to see you all again. Really good to see you.
We've been missing you.
Yes, we've been missing you also. You all are involved in so many extraordinary things for veterans, and I'm inspired by it. It's great to be able to have a conversation with you. Of course, I've seen your service animals, and they're beautiful, beautiful. And I love the way they have you six all the time. I guess my first question is just going to follow up on what you were initially talking about, on how a veteran like myself would be trained to care for his animal or her animal.
Well, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, go through the first sequence that we went through. Like I said, 2 years of research, found a certified trainer, had the dog temperament tested to be sure that he was appropriate to train as a service dog. And then we did 18 months worth of 180-mile round trips to work with that trainer. And everybody who was in our training group were all disabled veterans training their own service dog under the certified trainer's supervision. So it's a long process. And the other part of it is that we still train every day, because a typical service dog can respond to up to, say, 150 different commands, but you're probably going to only use 10 or 20 of them on a regular basis. Well, if this is the day that you need the dog to be able to go and get the emergency phone and activate it to call 911, they don't do that every day. And so if you have to give that command, you need the dog to be up to date on it, so they don't go to the refrigerator and get your bag of insulin.
That makes sense.
So training is an ongoing thing every day, and we make it as a fun thing. It's part of play for the dogs, and they get treats when they do it correctly. Sometimes I even give Jerry a treat.
Well, I don't think Jerry's getting a treat today. Jerry, I don't think you're getting a treat today. But I had another question about how much would it cost a veteran like me to train a service animal? Or how much does it cost in general to train a service?
That varies from dog to dog and what you want them to be trained for. Just as an example, one of the training sessions very frequently includes scent training because the dog reacts to scent training. For instance, if you're diabetic and your blood sugar is having a massive change, the dog can pick that up and warn you that something's going on. But the only way they can usually the only way they can do that is if they've been scent trained for it. Well, for one scent, it's going to cost $5,000 and up for the training. So different things become real expensive depending on the difficulty of the training. A lot of training we do on our own because we were trained to do that by the certified trainer that we went through originally. So costs always vary from dog to dog and situation to situation. Some cases, $35,000 for complete training isn't unusual at all.
Wow.
One thing I want to interject here. There are a lot of organizations that are part of Assistance Dogs International, and in many cases they have funding, and so you can get the dogs from them for free under certain circumstances, or they will help you do the fundraising. And again, it depends on the agency that's being used. So there's a very big range available here in terms of what the cost is going to be. It can be a lot or it can be almost nothing, but you also have the expense once you have the dog for food and for grooming, because when the dogs are in public, they have to be clean. So you may or may not be able to do that grooming yourself. You may need to take them to a groomer, which is what we do with ours. You may have insurance expenses. There's, medical things. They're going to need their vaccinations and things like that you're responsible for too. So again, there's a very wide range involved.
Wow, thank you. That's great information. You know what, it hit me personally too. My brother is a veteran, and he also has a service animal named Harvey, and my brother is a diabetic. And I did not know exactly what Harvey was doing for my brother until Jerry told me. Thank you all. I have
actually, Nicholas, if I can interject here with that, it's one of the really cool things about service dogs because their sense of smell is so much better than ours. And a properly trained service dog can alert 20 to 30 minutes before the person can feel that they're having a diabetes problem or if they have a seizure coming on or whatever. That's why the scent training is so important, because if you're driving or if you're out in public and you're going to have a seizure or you're going to have a blood sugar issue, the dogs can warn you quickly enough that you can pull to the side or take whatever medication is needed or get to a safe place so that you don't get harmed and you don't end up in an embarrassing situation in public, and everybody involved can be safe. So, I mean, these dogs are lifesavers, and the training for them is very important.
very much so. That's amazing information. I've always just been astounded by the sentience of, dogs. I mean, it's just incredible what can be done. I had another question about the other kinds of service animals or companion animals. Is there a difference between a service animal and a companion animal, or is it the same thing?
They're very different. Service dogs are trained for specific disabilities, and so it's a unique training. A companion animal is or a therapy dog or anything like that is strictly for emotional support. And it's an emotional support animal. They don't have the same requirements. They don't have the same types of access. A service dog can accompany you into, say, a restaurant. An emotional support animal cannot. They don't have access to all public all public places. And there's a big confusion between emotional support animals and service dogs, because a lot of people think that, okay, my dog is an emotional support dog, so I can bring him with me into the restaurant, and that's not true. They don't have access. And then as far as what can be what can be a service animal, it's really limited to service dogs. A peacock can't be a service animal. There is one exception to that, and believe it or not, it's the miniature horse. Miniature horses can be trained to be service animals, but it's not nearly as common as dogs, and they're more limited to where they can accompany, or where they can go in public spaces. For instance, you're not going to get a service miniature horse to accompany you in the coach section of an airplane to go somewhere. Just not going to happen.
I can see that. Well, maybe the last 5 months or 9 months, you might have been able to get a service, a service plane. But I was thinking also, like, how old are your dogs? And I understand you traveled recently to Oregon to a golly group. Was that for service animals or for the breed?
But before that, I think something about accompanying on an airplane needs to be said. Kyle had a very interesting experience the last time she flew somewhere.
Oh, really? Go ahead. I'd love to hear it.
Well, there was a couple of things. And one thing that I want to bring up here is that a lot of people think, oh, wow, it'd be really cool to be able to take my dog everywhere I go. And yeah, you can. But the other part is you have to. If you make a decision to get a service dog, you understand that that dog's going to be with you everywhere you go. So that means if you're flying and if you're at 35,000 feet and you need to make a pit stop, that dog's going to have to fit into the airplane restroom with you. And our dogs are 90-pounders. And so being at 35,000 feet and trying to get into an airplane restroom and have the dog between my feet and get the door shut is a challenge. So, but that's part of what they have to be able to do. They need to be trained to be underneath a chair, either in a restaurant or when we're at the VA. We also have a picture of Jerry's service dog underneath his chair in the emergency room at the VA. And they have to be able to be there and stuffed underneath and not make any noise and not interfere with anything. So again, the training is really, really important.
And I've observed it in your service animals. I've seen it. I've watched that behavior and how they sit and how closely aligned they are and in tune with you all. That's amazing to me. I would just say again about how old are they? Your service dog?
Well, Talon is going to be 5 in a couple of weeks, and he's the blue merle that's
on the right in the picture.
Yeah, and then my dog Remiel will be 5, or excuse me, they'll both be 6. Talon will be 6 in the middle of January, and Remiel will be 6 in March.
Wow.
And Remy is the one with the sable face.
Wow. Is that what you were going to say when you went to Oregon? Is when you were dealing that? You all traveled to Oregon to a collie group? And was that for the service animals or for the breed specifically?
Well,
go ahead.
That was for the collie group for that particular instance in Oregon. However, that was part of a very long trip when we got Talon, because we had to, God, I don't know how many miles it was, hours, a couple nights on the road to make that pickup. Where was he?
We had to pick him up in Spokane, so we drove over 3,000 miles to get him. Wow. And yeah, so it's, again, there's a certain amount of work involved in all of that. And so the other thing, that we did some travel recently. That was for the National Convention for Vietnam Veterans of America, and that was also in Spokane. So we had to take both dogs with us, and we traveled by Amtrak. So the dogs got their first long distance train trip.
And I want you guys to talk about insurance real quick, but we do need to wrap it up. But I want to go ahead and make sure that Nicholas talks to you about the insurance, because I think that's a really important thing. But then we're going to have to jump off and say goodbye to you guys. I just wanted to let you know. So go ahead with that last question.
Copy that. I was just going to ask about insurance for the service animals, for your dogs. How does one go about the insurance process with the dog?
Well, there's actually insurance companies that only insure animals, but there's specifics, and sometimes you don't have to pay for the insurance. In our case, right, Kyle, you handle the insurance problem, so.
Okay, here's the deal on the insurance. Yes, there are regular companies where any pet owner can buy pet insurance, which is a totally separate thing. Part of the reason that I wanted to be specific on this issue is that there are specific rules within the VA having to do with service dogs, and they can be found on the Federal Register. And the final rule for service dogs, I believe Gail will be putting up as part of the information at the end of this. One of the things that the final rule did is that it makes Assistance Dogs International, their trained dogs have the ability to get a policy through VA that is a wall-to-wall total coverage for everything. And that is a free service that comes if your dog is trained by one of the Assistance Dogs International thing. And the reason that that's important is because Jerry's original service dog, the first one, had a major medical problem, and he required over $40,000 in treatment. If we had not had that VA insurance, we wouldn't have been able to treat that dog. And I can't tell you what the psychological impact would have been if we had lost that dog because we couldn't.
Well, what was the co-payment on something like that?
Because he had this card through the VA, we paid nothing.
All right, that's what we need to know. And I need to wrap this up just because we have to be able to say goodbye and stuff. Nicholas, would you please wrap up with our guests and just leave me on here so we can get right into the next thing?
Absolutely, Gail.
Love you guys. Thank you so much. Great with you.
My pleasure. Our pleasure. Love you guys.
Love you too. Thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you.
Hey, are the dogs right there? Can we see their little faces? Can you stick them up? Is that even possible? Can we take a little risky moment here?
Mine is under the table, and he's
where they're supposed to be.
Where he's supposed to be.
And there's one of them. There's one of them right there. I think he loves Jerry.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. Would you come back and discuss this again further on another show? Now that we're all
happy to.
I mean, you're going to know exactly what questions and what little nuggets of gold that we can learn about, for VA veterans and VA insurance and care. And this has been great.
Our next guest is someone Gail and I both know. I am so grateful to be able to introduce you to Peter Trevelus. Peter Trevelus has served in the U.S. Navy from 1965 to 1969. He did 3 tours in Vietnam on the aircraft carrier USS Intrepid. He studied filmmaking at the University of Houston and then at the San Francisco Art Institute, all on the GI Bill. He earned a BFA degree in filmmaking. PTSD kicked in during his post-Navy days. Friends told him about transcendental meditation. He learned it in an effort to dissipate the wartime stress, and it worked. He immediately took to the TM teacher training course so he could pay it forward. Peter's maintained a successful 30-year career in television, along with teaching TM, working as a TV editor, writer, and producer for major networks and cable outlets. And he's currently employed at the David Lynch Foundation, where he's taught almost 2,000 people transcendental meditation. He is a member of the UCLA Windows Creative Writing Workshop, which I'm also a member of. He is one of my favorite people on this planet. He's written a collection of short stories, which is on its way to being published. Peter, welcome to Voice of the Veteran. Gail and I are so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Gail. Happy birthday, Nick.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. Yes. Peter, G is saying Yoda, because G and I refer to Peter as Yoda. Peter, also my transcendental meditation.
I didn't know that.
Peter, just to start off,
yeah.
I just wanted to ask you to please tell our viewers about your journey to transcendental meditation.
Okay. All right. Transcendental meditation is one kind of meditation. There are dozens of kinds of meditations out there, and they don't conflict with each other. It's a tool to put in your toolbox to bring you back to yourself, you know, after any kind of traumatic experience you might have. And back in 1969, when I got out of the Navy after 4 years, as Nick said, on an aircraft carrier in North Vietnam, I was pretty messed up.
The aircraft carrier, the Intrepid, for crying out loud. I tell you, that's impressive.
It's a museum in New York now.
That's right.
A museum in New York. And so, you know, I was really glad to get out of the Navy, but I hated everything. I hated life. I thought life sucked. I got a bad deal. It was just bad. I was, you know, self-medicating, smoking a lot of pot, and I was just messed up. But when I went to school using the GI Bill, I thought, all right, I might as well use the GI Bill, get something out of this. I was in a bad space, really. And I met these people at the San Francisco Art Institute that they were really cool. They were happy. They were not stressed. They weren't vets, but they were not stressed. They were happy. I just liked them a lot. And every so often they would say, you know, dude, you're pretty stressed. You should learn how to do this TM that we do. And I go, I don't need that. You know, TM, what is that? I thought it was really stupid. You know, I liked them anyway, even though they were doing TM, but I still liked them. And then after a while, after a year, 2 years, I wasn't getting any better. And I thought, all right, I'll try this stupid thing, because they kept on pushing me into it, not pushing me, gently nudging me into it. So I learned how to do this transcendental meditation. And I was one of those people where the first day it just hit me like, wow, this is going to help a lot. And then over the next few days, few weeks, I saw that, wow, I was starting to relax. I didn't realize how tense I was until TM gave me that really deep relaxation. And I started coming back to like who I remember I used to be. And it was so profound. I was in the Art Institute. I was going to school for filmmaking, and I thought, I got to make a film about this. I got to tell people about this. So I didn't know enough about it to make a film. So I decided to become a teacher, a transcendental meditation teacher. And that training is very thorough, 6 months in residence. But, you know, I was young and I had the wherewithal. And I earned the teacher training course by working by working for the TM organization. And so I got a free course. And at the end of that course, I became a TM teacher, and I've been teaching TM ever since. But my life started clearing up and clearing up and clearing up, where I've, as Nick was saying in my bio, I was suddenly myself again. I was able to think clearly and make good decisions, and I had a really, really good career, mostly as an editor in television, but other things too, producing and writing. And that's how I came to it.
Wow. Thank you so much, Peter. You know what? I can relate to a lot of that because Peter, of course, introduced me to transcendental meditation. So it was similar, just to share with our viewers out there. I served in the Air Force, participated in Operation Noble Anvil, and I was carrying a lot of just tightness and tension everywhere I went. It followed me everywhere I went. I just thought that's how life was. I didn't really know what it was. I hadn't even learned the vocabulary to talk about it. So I didn't know what I was experiencing. Of course, the domiciliary, as we shared about last week, started to give me the terminology to talk about what these symptoms were, but they were with me all day, every day. Everything was a struggle, but I was just fighting through it. Peter said, hey, I'm not telling you this is just going to automatically change everything for you, but if you try it, which I did, things will slowly start to change. And I tell you what, I have been practicing, Peter. I think maybe I know it's been over a year. I feel like it might even be almost 2 years. But
more than 2 years. More than two. Yeah.
More than 2 years.
On the 2-year mark. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm telling you, just to share with our viewers, Peter's right. I mean, I was an actor. I'm an actor also, but I'd always carry tension in my forehead. You can see it. The camera always shows that. And that started to dissipate. I'm no longer gripping the wheel went through life. Right. So I've released my tension on the steering wheel of life. And that's all because of TM and being able to put it into practice. I know Peter has been there the entire time as my instructor, because if I'm maybe not doing my meditation, or it's starting to slip, which has always been the case. I've always wanted to be a meditator. I just have never really been able to meditate. It wasn't until I learned TM that I could actually make it a daily practice. And that's an amazing thing for me because I've always been interested in things like meditation. TM is what's been working for me, and I've been able to do it consistently. When it slips, I call Peter. Peter says, hey, let's tune this up, and I get right back on track, and my meditation practice continues to be a daily part of my life. Peter, I wanted to ask you also about how TM has improved your relationships, because we, as a veteran, I have relationships. They're strained by all of this anxiety and stress, and by gripping the wheel as tightly as I always have. And I've started to notice some changes in my personal relationships and room for other personal relationships to enter my life. So I was wondering, could you share with our viewers a little bit about how TM has improved your personal relationships, maybe with your children and your grandchildren or others?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. First, I just want to give a real quick view of what TM is. I mean, basically, you just drill down to what it really is. It's profound TM. This is transcendental meditation. This isn't other kinds of meditation. TM, when you close your eyes and you do this really easy technique, it gives your nervous system, your body, and your mind a profound level of rest, deeper rest than sleep. That's how it works. And when you give your body rest, it starts coming back into balance, starts getting rid of stress and tension and anger and all that. But on a deeper level than sleep can reach. So you do this every day, and little by little, the stress that's embedded in your nervous system goes away, and that's what brings the results. Your body starts working the way it could work, can work, should work. So as that started to happen, I started having a better relationship with not just my family, but everybody around me and with my whole life. And I think the main thing was that I used to go around thinking that I can handle everything myself. I'm an independent guy. I don't need family. I don't need this. I don't need that. And, I love my family and they loved me, but it was kind of a pain in the butt to be with them and stuff. But little by little, I started seeing who they really were and how much they did love. I really appreciated who they were. And so when I got out of the Navy, I was married. I got married when I was in the Navy, and that marriage fell apart just through stress. And so that went away. I've been meditating for a couple of years. I met my second wife, and it was love at first sight. I was mellow enough to recognize that, and she was doing TM also. So there's two kind of more mellow people can come together and really appreciate. And so what this meditation has done for me is kind of wake my brain up, take away the tension and the blocks, and I'm a little bit more aware. And when you're more aware, you're more appreciative of everything. And if you're more appreciative of things, you're feeling better inside. So it's kind of a positive cycle. And so I'm on a really, really good standing with all of my family, my kids, my grandkids, even though they're all on the East Coast. But, I get back to the East Coast a couple of times a year, and it's like I never left. And they're always pushing me to come back. But I'm saying, no, LA.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Peter. I mean, I'm experiencing a lot of the same things in my personal life right now with just being mellower and really being easier to get along with. And even, and for me, I would say what TM has done for me is I'm the type of person who's always had a lot of windows that open up in my mind. So it's almost like a computer. I'll have a million different tabs open in my mind, and it'll play out in my external environment. My apartment will look like someone with a million different tabs open up in their room. But my closet, under the bed, all of that's got tabs. But after 2 years of TM, that's my operating system is a lot cleaner, which means my external environment is a lot cleaner. And there's not a lot of clutter in my mind or in my life when I'm practicing TM. And that's something that if you had told me that, because I was skeptical. I was like, man, nothing else has worked. I mean, particularly in the area of PTSD, which I'm comfortable sharing that I deal with as a veteran, and seeing what TM has done in that area for me is something that's difficult to articulate, which is why I wanted Peter to come on the show. Not only is he my favorite person, I just wanted to have him on the show, but because of how valuable this tool has been in my daily life as a veteran that deals with PTSD. Gail, did you have anything to ask Peter?
Yeah. I wanted to mention, you talk about relationships, Peter. I don't know if you remember us discussing this or anything, but I remember a time in my life when, as far as family members go, they used to say, "Oh God, don't tell mother," and now they tell me stuff because I'm not going to go off and do something or immediately try to fix it. I'm more about the relationship and what's going on and everything, and just calming down in general. I got medication for that too, but you know what I'm saying. It's just people trust you with information because they know you're actually listening rather than looking for a reason to go off and go nuts about it.
Yeah, or leave.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh man! Oh, we gotta fix that. Whoa! No. Just let's just think about it a little and give consideration to things. That kind of thing. And it's a much nicer place to be. So I'm agreeing with you both. Thanks, Nicholas, for the opportunity to say that, because what I was thinking.
Well, you know what, and that's something I'm noticing too as a person as I get older, not only as a veteran but just as a son to my mother and father. There's been that change in that growth in our relationships too, where I now have accepted all of this stuff that I had projected onto my parents, right? I had projected on them. My parents wanted me to be all of these things and do all of these things. And I was kind of just treating them like that. And now I'm able to see clearly and communicate clearly and concisely with them that, hey, those were my own things. That was all me. And now we're able to have a different relationship with each other. I think I'm able to see them clear as who they are, and they're able to see me clear because of how I'm showing up. And I believe that has to do with TM for me, because that's a new thing. That's a new thing in our relationship.
What goes around comes
Feels
around.
good.
Right?
Yeah.
I've got a 16-year-old kid, so I'm trying to learn as fast as I can how to be a good son.
What goes around comes around, right? What you're putting out, you're getting back. If you're tense, like that, you're putting that up, that's going to come back, And if you're more mellow inside, if you're happier inside and less stressed, then you're putting that out, and that's going to come back. And I can tell you after.
We're an example to our families about, how to be, and that role modeling and exampling, like you're talking about, is kind of mirrored behavior. What you put out there, you get back, and they mirror that stuff.
It's partly role model, how you are, but it's also vibe too, how you react to somebody and that kind of thing. After I've been doing this for 50 years now. I'm 75. I can't believe that, but I've been doing this for 50 years, and the long-term effect, it's still happening. It just keeps getting better and better and better. And what I've noticed is I didn't know I had PTSD when I got out of the service. It wasn't any such thing as that. I was just, he's a Vietnam vet. That's who I was. He's a vet. That's it. But now looking back on it, I probably had PTSD, but I think I still have it. What's different now after all these years is I still get triggered by things, but it doesn't turn into something. Like I can realize, that would have set me off, a few years ago, or I noticed that, but I don't need to react to that, and there's some space between what's happening out here and how you react to it. And it gets mellower and better and better and better. And, I hardly ever get triggered. I mean, I get triggered, but nothing happens, I hardly ever have a bad day. I have a bad minute, maybe. If something comes up that really bugs me, it goes away quickly just by itself, because there's not as much stress in my inside here, That's the long-term effect. The day-to-day effect, short-term effect, is you find your life getting a little better, a little better, a little better, just by giving your body that profound level of rest. And the same thing, what's happening in your brain while you're meditating, while you're doing TM, is your brain becomes very, very synchronized, and all those pathways that exist in the brain that we hardly ever use, they all become enlivened while you're transcending. And then you come out of meditation and you're thinking a little more clearly, and then it kind of wears off. And then you meditate again, twice a day you meditate. And then it kind of reorganizes your brain, and you're clear afterwards, and then it wears off. But over time, you're training your brain to function in that different way, in that more ordered way, that more awake way. So your brain's kind of waking up little by little over time. And
so then you go to Diana and drink the Kool-Aid, or what is this? I mean, people think that this is like a religion or something.
Yeah, I know. I hear that all the time.
And I know you and I had that discussion, during our class together, about how, how it's meditation.
I hear that all the time.
Well, I grew up drinking Kool-Aid and real sweet Kool-Aid. In my house, the Kool-Aid was so sweet.
Oh, that's right.
That is why I practice TM. However, I'm a fan of Kool-Aid.
Gail, it's a technique. This transcendental meditation comes from, it's indigenous knowledge. It's from indigenous India. It's indigenous knowledge. It predates religion. Hinduism came after that. Buddhism came after that. It's like the indigenous knowledge of the United States. It's based on sound. You're thinking a mantra when you do this, and it's a sound vibration. And I always think about the Native Americans in this country. They do drumming and dancing, and they can create rain. It's just a basic indigenous knowledge. It's not a religion. I mean, maybe the Natives, Americans, different tribes, maybe that's their religion or something, but it's beyond the religion. You can put a religion on top of it, but it's the name, transcendental meditation, sounds what is that? You know,
Yeah.
and it's a type of meditation, and it's about transcending. Let me give you the analogy of the ocean. Okay, do I have a minute to do that?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes,
imagine the
please.
ocean. Surface of the ocean is always active, always waves, and you dive down a mile down to the bottom of the ocean, it's calm down there. There could be a storm going on up here, but down here you wouldn't even know it at the bottom of the ocean. Same thing with our mind. Our mind is active from the moment we wake up. I got to do this, I got to do that, all these decisions and blah, 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 blah. But deep within everybody, there's this inner calmness, this inner silence. It's there. We're born with it. And what TM does is takes your attention from the active part of your mind to the part that's more still, more quiet. It's not about, a lot of times when people are thinking about how our meditation is different from each other, and they usually think that it's about calming your mind. Meditation is about calming your mind. It's not about calming your mind. It's about taking your attention from the part that's active to the part that's already calm. This is still going on up here. When you're meditating, when you're doing TM, you're aware of what's going on around you. You're still having thoughts, but you're down here in this stillness. And so by doing this technique, it's really easy to do. It's automatic, kind of. When your mind becomes less active, your body follows along, because our mind and body are like that. Our mind and body are really closely connected. So when your mind starts to settle, your body starts to settle. Your breathing slows down, your heart rate slows down, you go into this state of rest, but you're awake. You're awake. You're sitting, it's a state of restful alertness. You're sitting there, you're awake, but you feel, wow, I'm really relaxed, you know? And the reason why you would invest 20 minutes of your time twice a day would be because it's about healing. It's about getting rid of the stress. It's 20 minutes of cleaning house. It's not like 20 minutes of escape or going to some, you know, it's about cleaning house and rejiggering your body so it comes back into normal. Tuning up your nervous system, basically.
That's been my experience. My experience was such, for a long time, I could only consistently get in maybe one meditation a day. And Peter always told me, you'll know 2 is what you're shooting for. That's the goal. And I then started getting that second meditation in. And I'm telling you, that second meditation makes such a big difference for me, because right around midday, things start to pile up. And then to be able to go and clean house again, that second meditation has done wonders for me. It energizes me. Actually, it propels me in some ways to the next part of the day, and then I'm able to be creative. I'm able to be present and in the moment more and more. And it's just been a tremendous tool in my life. It's literally a part of my daily life. I do not leave the house without having put in that first meditation, if I can help it. Sometimes I leave and then I just might go to the beach and meditate there. But you know, I know when I haven't done my second meditation. I also know when I haven't done any of those meditations in a day.
You can feel it. You can feel it. Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, Peter, I can still hear your voice. When I am anxietal, I can still hear your voice saying, oh, just gently tap back into, you know, just, okay, that happened, but just go right back to it. Just let, you know, yes, thoughts come up like you described, and just go right back to it. I've so many times, I can't even tell you how thankful I am to you for that knowledge and for hearing your voice say, oh, you're, because it isn't like I was upset in TM class, but it was getting used to your thoughts coming up and then just tapping back into it. It's like, also like resiliency zones. We learn a lot about that in sometimes I slip and call it mindlessness training. It's not mindfulness training, and they have a resiliency zone we're supposed to, you know, maintain within and that kind of thing, and bounce back and forth within. And when you get outside of it, I hear your voice. Oh, just tap back into it. Just return back to that. Yes. Whatever that is.
That's why
it's very comforting, and I appreciate it.
That's why I became a TM teacher, Gail, so I could pay it forward, like, so you can, have it. And so Nick can have it. And just
Yeah.
bouncing off of what Gail said.
Was a great experience. Absolutely. I remember the day we were out there. Go ahead. We're having choppy stuff going on.
Oh, good. Peter was going to say
Go ahead,
something.
Peter. I didn't mean to interrupt, but we were.
Well, I like the nostalgia stuff too, Gail. I was going to say, jumping off of what you said, is this transcendental meditation, diving down to the quiet part of your mind, it isn't like you're down there for 20 minutes. TM is more like a cycle. You kind of like in the settled part, and then your more active part, and then the settled part, and then the more active part. It's like that. And it's completely automatic. It's really easy to do and really easy to learn, but it's very subtle. And that's what makes it powerful, is the subtlety of it. And so it takes someone to walk you through it and answer your question. Now do this, now do this. Oh, this is happening. What do I do now? Okay, now do this. And then after the 4 1 hour classes, you got it. And maybe some tune-ups once in a while, like Nick was saying.
Yeah. Peter, could you tell our viewers and fellow veterans out there about how the David Lynch Foundation is making TM available to veterans and veterans suffering with PTSD and whatever other things that veterans may be challenged with? Could you tell us a little bit about how the David Lynch Foundation makes TM available to the veteran?
Yeah, I'm a staff member of the David Lynch Foundation. I work on a salary, and David Lynch, I'm sure all the viewers know who David Lynch is. He's a filmmaker, and 15 years ago, he had visited a school where all the kids in the school meditated, and he saw such a difference. They were creative and happy, and he said, wow. And David Lynch has been meditating for 40-something years himself. So he visited the school, and he said, you know what? All schools should have TM. So he formed the foundation, the David Lynch Foundation, with the purpose of making TM available to kids in schools, 6th, 7th grade. Wouldn't it have been nice if we had learned this when we were young? We'd have it our whole life. It's kind of preventative, So we for the first 10 years of the David Lynch Foundation, we taught in schools, and mostly inner city schools that were the most stressed and had the least amount of money and the least resources, And so mostly we taught there at no cost to the school. So the foundation raises money. We have concerts and different fundraisers so that we can bring TM at no cost to the schools. But then we branched out into teaching veterans, because there's another highly stressed segment of the population,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, first responders. And now we're bringing it to the first line health workers in hospitals who've been going through hell for the past year. So David Lynch Foundation is aiming at the most stressed population. TM works for people who are kind of have a normal level of stress, but David Lynch is about reaching that population. And so if you would like to learn how to do this meditation and you're a veteran and you need the money, you don't have the money, you can learn for free through the David Lynch Foundation. And so we have those scholarships available. If you can afford to pay, we can give you the lowest price. It's a sliding scale to learn TM. If you can afford to pay something, then we'll give you the lowest price, which is $95 a month for 4 months. But we have full scholarships available if the need is there. And it's a lifetime thing. You've got it, just like Nick was saying, and Gail too. I'm your TM teacher if I teach you, and Nick can call me up in 10 years from now, say, hey, I'm living in Florida. Help.
That's been the case. I've called Peter up. Peter and I have been able to continue on the journey, not just as my TM instructor, but also we're both writers. And it's kind of cool how the more available I am to cool things happening in my life, like the fact that Peter and I are both writers, and we get to see each other in that capacity and work together in that capacity. But also he's at the most stressful times of me being homeless in a shelter, Peter would show up. I received a scholarship. TM was provided at no cost to me. I try to share it with other veterans because of what it's meant to me. Peter would meet me out pre-COVID times on the West LA VA campus and would tune me up when things were getting too stressful or built up in my mind about the situation that I was in. Now that situation is totally changed, you know, and Peter's still there as my TM instructor.
And we want to say where we all got to meet, which is the Family Wellness Center in Building 220, because that was a great location. And we had a fair out there. I remember Peter was out back in the Rose Garden signing up veterans for the program and stuff. And that's a nice area. And Tess Banco and all of them over there. I just want to say, you know, what a great job they do. So, yeah.
Yeah. Tess is really behind this. And right now, the David Lynch Foundation is getting ready to do the biggest study on PTSD ever. And I think it's at 10 different locations around the country, different VAs, to see the efficacy of TM as compared to some other therapy. Present center therapy, something like that. PCT, I think it's called. So they're going to compare the two. And it's a huge, huge study that's being done at all the VAs. And we're hoping long term, and this has been the hope for a long time, that the VA will really get behind it as one of the tools they're using to help vets, you know. And some vets aren't ready to learn TM, and other vets, they might learn some other meditation first, or they might learn yoga first or something. And little by little, okay, I think I'll try TM, you know, and add that one more kind of type of meditation to the toolbox. And so we're hoping that it, you know, little by little is becoming more and more known and available. But meanwhile, if you're living in the LA area or in New York area or Washington, DC area, vets can learn TM. And I don't think I can you should go to if you're interested, you can go to our website. And I don't see how I can put the website on the chat.
I put I put it up twice, and it's the last thing that's on the chat right now again while you were talking to make sure that.
It's been scrolling across the screen the entire time. The website's been scrolling.
Oh, I don't see it. Okay.
It has been.
Okay.
Well, we're keeping it a secret from you because we figured you'd be busy meditating. So.
Yeah, and I also know the website, so I don't need it.
You don't need it.
Yeah, it's scrolling right now. So for
I see it. Oh, you guys are fancy.
Yes, www.davidlynchfoundation.org.
Franco's on the job.
Yes.
I'm telling you, he is. He's a producer, you know, the most.
So, Peter.
At the website, one more thing, Nick. At the website, there's a lot of videos on the website, and there's a section just for vets talking about how they learned and how it helped them and all that kind of thing. And then that's your first step in learning. And then we'll make it happen if you want to learn.
Absolutely. And I'm going to keep sharing my experience with TM because it's done so much for me. Like I said, my daily life has changed in ways that, you know, I don't like to get emotional, especially not on Sunday. I don't do that emotion thing. but you know, it's touched me in ways to where I know my daughter is thankful. My communication with my daughter on just how to arrange being with my daughter, arranging visits and all of that stuff is a lot easier because I practice TM daily. The stress and the anxiety that I've gone and moved through life with has gotten so much more bearable over the time of having practiced transcendental meditation. So I try veteran to veteran to share that with my fellow veterans, what works for me. And it also works in concert with a lot of other modalities. I do more than just transcendental meditation, but I'd say one of the cornerstones of my daily life and being able to move through life is transcendental meditation. I wanted to share that with our viewers and fellow veterans out there. And so grateful that you are on the show, Peter, that you came on and gave us some time to share about TM with us. We've got I think maybe 12 minutes left, and we've got another segment, Peter. But
okay. All right.
I think you'd be willing to come back and talk to us again sometime.
Sure. Absolutely.
Maybe even around the time that manuscript gets published, which should be very, very soon. But Peter, thank you for being here. And Gail, I know, has some things to say to you as well.
I love you. I think you're a terrific person. I hope to see you around more often. Please do come back because this has been a great conversation. I think it's good for people to, you know, get an insight of what TM is because, you know, people get kind of goofy on it sometimes, even about meditation, not just TM, but I mean, any kind of, what's that, you know, oh, it's, you know, so I just love it. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy to see you. And what we're going to do is we're going to do an update about vaccine and some other things. So hang around and listen to that information. But I'll let Nicholas say goodbye, and then we're going to get over to it.
Well,
All right.
thanks for the invitation. And, you know, I'm always about putting it out there and having more and more vets know that this is available and no cost to them. So.
Hey, we're going to talk about VPAN today, and we've got a special guest, Christina Garcia, and we're going to bring her on right now. We're going to talk to her about, what she does for veterans. Christina, there you are.
Hey, Gail. Hey, Nick. How's it going?
Hey, how you doing, Christina?
I'm
Happy
doing
to see
super
your
awesome.
smiling face. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Gail, for having us on.
Now, Christina, we want to talk about VPAN today because that's where you work, and we're going to learn about that. Do you actually work at VA West Los Angeles?
I don't, Gail. However, we are looking for partnerships within all the VAs in LA County to use them as community access points. So that way our peers can go and, be more organic with our veterans and military family members and provide them that connection.
Now, you kind of talk like a veteran. Are you a veteran?
I am a proud woman veteran of 24 years. I just retired February of 2020.
Wow, recently. That is incredible. Oh, man, I'm really glad you're here. So what branch of service were you in?
I was in Army National Guard, and Active Guard Reserve. So all components except for Army Reserve of the Army.
Oh, okay. So are you actually in California right now?
I am, Gail. I transferred from San Diego to LA for a promotion, for my last promotion to E8 Master Sergeant. From here, I was scheduled for Sacramento for Sergeant Major, and I said, I'm cutting it off, hanging up the ACUs and boots and putting on business casual and heels.
That's great. All right. Well, tell us a little bit what VPAN means, because I don't know what the letters mean. And just talk a little bit about it. And Nicholas, if you need to interrupt and ask a question or something, that's what we'll do. But let's just kind of have a conversation about things that we want to chat about with you. And why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about VPAN and what it does for veterans?
Awesome, Gail. Thanks. The story that Nick shared about that veteran that took him by the hand and said, I got you. That's what VPAN is, the Veteran Peer Access Network. And back in 2019, the LA Board of County of Supervisors, they authorized about $33 million over the next 3 years to provide a team of family members and veteran service members, and to assist with the transitioning of the military member to civilian life. We all know it's so difficult, you know, especially if you don't know anybody, or there's people out there that just don't want to give you that full story of how to apply for a benefit or how to apply for a job, you know. So the Veteran Peer Access Network, it's trained military family members and veterans, and they're here to provide a warm handoff, so to connect with the brothers and sisters and family members out there that need the help. So, you know, the services that are being delivered are referrals and linkages, whether it's legal, VA benefits, job placement, housing, mental health care, substance abuse treatment, evaluation and screening services, specialized outreach, case management. You know, we all know those veterans and family members that either know what they need or don't know what they need. So our peers are going to assist with that. Now, we know in LA County, we have 5 supervisory districts, and each district has their own veteran service team. So those teams are comprised of 8. So we have a program manager, 2 squad leaders, 5 battle buddies, and these teams are in those supervisory districts. They're going to be stationed at rally points. And so these rally points are in each supervisory district. So ranging from South El Monte to Compton, Long Beach, Granada Hills, and Lancaster. And so these 5 community-based organizations we've all heard of. So for Supervisory District 1, we have JVS. Supervisory District 2, we have VOA LA. For Supervisory District 3, we have Goodwill Southern California. For Supervisory District 4, we have US Vets. And lastly, Supervisory District 5, we have JVS. So these community-based organizations were picked from panels that, you know, we selected veterans and influential leaders in the Los Angeles community to identify these organizations, because, you know, they're the ones that are going to be providing the services to our family members and veterans. So that's the way that the teams have worked so far. We have hired 37 out of the 40, so we're still looking for a few. You know, that if you're interested in applying, reach out and we'll get you hooked up with a position here if qualified. And so recently, you know, we are just so excited because it's rolled out so quick, and we soft launched in January, which means that we've been taking referrals. So those individuals who need the assistance, they reach out to the warm line through DMH, which is the primary conduit to our community-based organizations. And, you know, we get the referrals and we assist them, and we take them by the hand and we say, hey, we got you. I'm a veteran. I've been through some things, but it's going to be all right.
So how do you interface with hospital VSOs and those kind of people who are actually working on benefits? Is there some kind of linkage there?
There is, Gail. So we're currently using a platform through Unite Us. And it's a platform that makes referrals so much easier, because right now what we're trying to do is increase the amount of partners through LA County that are on our platform. So it makes it easier for referrals to come and go. So for example, you know, the Department of, let's say, VA, if they were our partners in Unite Us, we could automatically provide a linkage from Mr. Nick Cormier through our platform to the VA. So currently we have about 35 active veteran service organizations on Unite Us, but we're increasing it, you know, daily. So if anybody on here is in a veteran service organization who wants to be on our platform, also please contact us, and it's a very simple partner registration form.
So someone just put up a note on the screen, the power of one network.
Yes.
You know, that's Jose, I can't pronounce
Barraza.
Thank you.
Barraza.
That's right. And he says, yeah, the power of one network. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that and say thanks for watching the show. Yeah.
It's really true, Gail. It's really true because, we know so many organizations that provide similar services, right? Resume writing, career, all of these services now, it's an all-in-one platform, and it's led by veterans and military family members that have, the experience with veterans. So it's very relatable, and it's, a place where it's safe, secure, and you can trust. So, I mean, it's unique. If I could look back 1 year ago and say there was a program out there for me, a retiree, I would say there is none. But now I can, say with a smiling face that it's out here for those who need it or don't even know if they need it yet.
I have a question. Now, every time I get a chance, I like to stir the pot on this issue because everybody knows it's a thing. Now, transition from active duty military to veteran status. Was there, in your firsthand experience, because that's what we do on this show, it's our veteran firsthand experience. And I want to ask about, did the VA come to you and help you set up in the TAP program? You know how you could take that program. I mean, what happened in your active duty experience that prepared you for that transition to veteran land? You know what I mean?
Great question, Gail. But, unfortunately, when you're in the military, you're so taken care of, right? You have BAH, you have BAS, you have all these, dental, medical, everything's provided. When you go through the Soldier for Life program or the ACAP program in the Army, it's a 3-day program. I went to Monterey and it was great. The environment was perfect, nature hikes. But in those 3 days, they give you 3 big books, worksheets, business cards. It was very difficult to try to pinpoint a path of transition. Going from so taken care of to now you're on your own, figure it out. And unless you have that peer or that battle buddy to provide that support and hold your hand and tell you, hey, I've been there, I got you. It is so difficult. So the first few months were a little difficult for me as a transitioning retiree. I couldn't even imagine those who don't know what benefits or aren't tech savvy or don't have that battle buddy to help.
We hear this quite often, and that's why I want to ask people's actual firsthand experience and not just be complaining about things, but letting people know what our needs are. Nicholas, do you have any questions for her? If you do, just go ahead.
I do actually, Gail.
Oh, good.
Christina, you know what? Goodwill stood out to me, but I have used JVS. When I was looking at reintegration and everything and transitioning, it was very challenging for me because it was kind of like word of mouth only for me. But I was directed to JVS. So I took the test at JVS and did all of that and made my appointments there. But then, I didn't really know where to go from there. What I'm wondering is, does VPAN select specific service partners for the veteran that comes to VPAN? How do I get in touch? How do I know if I go to JVS or Goodwill or how does that work?
Yeah, Nick, that's a question that we've had in the past, so it's nothing new. But just like you, I did also go through different organizations. Now that they're on one platform, it's so much easier. So they're based out of supervisory districts. So if you live in Silmar, then you will belong to this district. You won't be going to the other district. And, in the Unitas platform is where we have all of our service providers. If the service provider that you need, for example, is not in there, we will find it. So that's one of the roles of our, battle buddies, squad leaders, and program managers is to find those resources that are needed in that specific district, because we know that each district is different. Each district has different needs, different resources, there's differences. So not everyone is not standard like in the military where we have those differences.
I'm loving this thing about battle buddies and platoon people and all this stuff. I mean, because it just feels good to be called. Do you actually hire like battle buddies as a title?
Yes, Gail.
That's so cool. I love that. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's so funny because, of course, in the military, we understand the rank structure. We know how information flows up and down, how to filter it from the top to the bottom. And so it's funny because, my title is program manager. However, some people say first sergeant still. So I'm like, it's all good.
Well, that's one of the issues at the VA. We walk in there and nobody's got a uniform on. There's no rank. You don't know who you're talking to or even who to ask to get to where. So I really appreciate, your work and everything. My gosh, Nicholas, go ahead. I know you've got more questions for her. This is wonderful.
Well, no, thank you for answering, Christina. My other question was Goodwill stood out to me, and I was just wondering what kind of services. I know there's a jobs program and things like that, but I was just wondering, did Goodwill fall within a specific region? And if so, what Goodwill provided for the veteran?
Yeah, so Goodwill falls under Supervisory District 3. And like I said, the panel did select each community-based organization based off of what they can provide, what they've provided in the past, and what they feel they can provide in the future. So, there was a lot that went into these selections. I mean, believe it or not, we were in these panels for a couple hours, actually a few hours, deliberating, okay, is it a good fit? Is it not? So, Goodwill does provide employment opportunities, but for the most part, they will be doing referrals and linkages out into the community. Supervisory District 3, for example, is one where we do need more partner registrations. So, the resources are out there. It's just a matter of finding them and linking them to the proper entities.
So the proper entity, here's the question for you. This is all wonderful stuff, but how does a veteran know to contact you? Where are they going to find you to say, please help me? I mean, how do they do that?
So one is word of mouth, right? What we're doing here is providing the information to our brothers and sisters and family members out there. Share this, please. We also are on social media, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Also, our community-based organizations, their websites. So you can go to any of their websites. They'll have their organization emails, phone numbers, points of contact, and of course, more importantly, the DMH support line. So that's, open to anyone who's a veteran or a military family member at any point in time. And, the biggest thing is that we want to reduce any amount of barriers. So as low barriers as possible, and just try to provide, that whatever we didn't have for them.
Thank you, Melanie, for that comment. She's going, yay, battle buddies. I see her little message right there.
Oh,
yeah, this is great stuff. You have anything else, Nicholas?
Well, Jose Barraza is giving the Air Force. JVS was my lifeline to employment after transitioning from the Air Force. Urban Thomas were the rock stars that changed my path.
All right.
Fantastic. And those are the things, yes, we're going to be highlighting the success stories as well, because I think it's very important not only to highlight the success stories of those we're helping, but those that are doing the work. So this upcoming Wednesday, we're going to have an all hands on deck. So that means all our WARN staff, all our DMH teams, and our community-based organizations. So we're going to have a special guest, Dr. Sharon. And so it's just exciting times, and I'm very thankful to be on here today and to be sharing the platform with two veterans who I admire. And Tess, thank you for allowing me this opportunity as well.
Yeah, she's coming up next. That's okay. I'm glad you brought her up, because so you interface with the Family Wellness Center and Executive Director Tess Banco then. So she's going to be on the show next, and I'm hoping you can hang around, and maybe we'll have both of you on at the same time to try to, link up the interface between those two entities would be nice to talk about, or something like that. But man alive, I am so happy to meet you. I mean, seriously, this is a wonderful thing. I love hearing about it. I am going to absolutely look into easiest possible access, to this kind of thing and let other veterans know about it. And hopefully, they're watching this show and it's something that they'll be, they'll be able to access easily. I mean, that's always the issue. It's like, 17,000 military links one day. They gave me that and I went, what? I'm supposed to sort through this, So this is a really good thing. I appreciate all your hard work. Anything else, Nicholas, before we say goodbye?
Just a thank you to Christina and a thank you to SCG VPAN. Thank you all.
Thanks, Nick. Much appreciated.
Much.
And yeah, the uniqueness of the peers is, again, they are military veterans and family members. So, we're going to be there no matter what and provide that opportunities that, again, we didn't have in the past and provide them now. So thank you guys so much. And thank you for your service.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much. Hang around a little bit.